It's the Nittany No Huddle Podcast from the Nittany No Huddle Studios. What is going on, Nittany No Huddle Nation? Welcome to our first episode of our podcast here. Today we're going to be covering the Penn State Nittany Lions versus the Auburn Tigers. The game is set for 7:30 Eastern Time, and Penn State is currently the Vegas favorite with a 7-point spread. So I'm going to go through a couple of stats. We're going to review both teams. Then I'll give my prediction on who I believe is going to win this game. So let's get to it. So right off the bat, both teams are coming in at 2-0. Penn State played Ball State this previous week and Wisconsin on opening day. Auburn played the Akron Zips, which they absolutely demolished, scoring over 60 points. And then last week, I believe they played Alabama State, another nobody program, and they won by 60 again. So it's kind of hard to get a read on Auburn as they really haven't played anybody with any type of pulse. Their running game looked very good, but like I said, it's very hard to read. They haven't really played anybody. Penn State played a very good Wisconsin team, which I think could win, upwards of 9 games. On the road in Camp Randall is always tough, and a very physical NFL-type offensive line in Wisconsin. And Penn State, was able to get the win. They were dominated on time of possession, so that was a kind of a concern. But if you talk to James Franklin, he really doesn't care about that stat. So in my opinion, I see that as not a good thing. You don't want your defense out there, for 40 minutes a game. It's not really conducive to winning, but we'll see how this week plays out. Penn State coming in total offense ranked 8th, whereas Auburn is ranked 1st. The stats are inflated right now, so it's kind of hard to see what's real, what's not. But as far as our Penn State's running game, I feel like Noah Cain is going to have to be very important this weekend. He's got to get the run game established. We cannot afford to just sit back and try to air it out the whole time. We need to get that run game established to open up the play action pass, that sort of thing. Now, Auburn comes in with a very good running back in Tank Bigsby. He's ran all over the place the first 2 games. So I think it's very important for Penn State, and especially the linebacking core led by Ellis Brooks, to get in that backfield, disrupt the run game, and then we can really start bringing pressure on Bo Nix. Now, everybody's talking about Bo Nix. Bo Nix has a god-awful road game record. I believe he's 2-7. Just not good. His stats are significantly worse on the road, so he's got something to prove this weekend. If he can come into Happy Valley and have a big game, kind of silence the haters. They're saying he has potential to be on Heisman watch. So we'll see what's going on with that. As far as Auburn's defense, their linebacker, McCain, is very good. He actually led the nation in tackles last year, and he had, I believe, last week 10 solo tackles, which is just kind of crazy. So he could be a problem for Penn State in stopping that run game. Now, the other factor that everyone's talking about is the whiteout conditions. So being a Penn State alum and this being a Penn State podcast, obviously I'm going to be a little bit biased here, but I've been to a lot of college football games all around the country, and I can tell you that the volume at Penn State during the whiteout, it's uncomparable. It really is. And I think anybody from Auburn saying that it won't be a factor, that sort of thing, is just, that's just delusional. Like it's going to play some sort of factor. Now, do I think Auburn can handle it? Probably. They've played in some big games before, but I do think it will be a factor. And I applaud Auburn for actually coming and playing, Penn State, playing a Big Ten team, because the SEC historically just doesn't ever come to the North to play. Probably something with, not wanting to come into the North when it's cold, and just the SEC in general tends to think that they're too good to play the Big Ten in non-conference games. So that's a factor too. But I really do think that Penn State's going to come out where we're going to dominate on defense early. Going to be kind of ugly first half. I predicted being similar to Wisconsin, but I think Penn State probably has a 14-3 lead going into halftime, and then they come out score right away in the second half and just start putting it to them. I really don't think Auburn is that good of a team. I think they've just played nobody, so kind of hard to get a pulse on it. I could see it honestly going either way, blowout for Penn State or Auburn, getting the win. So it's just kind of a mismatch. It's hard to tell without having all the information. So, and the scouting report is going to be very difficult for Auburn to see, what they've run. They really haven't ran their full playbooks yet. So a lot of factors going in, but I really hope that Clifford can get rolling. I've been kind of critical of Clifford in the past, and I would like to see him, succeed. But, he's got to start making those big time throws. So hopefully he can get it rolling, have a big game, and we can keep moving through and hopefully have a chance at the playoff this year. Now, Penn State has an absolutely brutal schedule moving forward. We have on the road at Iowa, on the road at Ohio State. We have Michigan at home. So just some big games left to play. And, all those other games, Indiana, Northwestern, Illinois, like those are not easy to win games either. So you got to be on point at all times. So we'll see how it goes. I really do think betting the spread here is the smart play. I think I got in at DraftKings at -5 for Penn State. So I think they can get it done this weekend. And I'll actually be going to the game, so I'm pretty excited about that. So all in all, my prediction is Penn State's going to win. I believe in our chart, I said 38-14. That's a little bit of a homer pick for sure, but I could really see Penn State running up the score on this one. I'll go over everybody else in our group's picks. So Devin had Penn State 24, Auburn 13. Theo had Penn State 22, Auburn 24. Alex said it's going to be a 9-6 game of the century game for Auburn there. Yoakum had 31-6 and for Penn State, and PJ had 21-13 Auburn. And I didn't get a pick from Zach because he just kind of ghosted me on his pick. So I'm hoping to get more people on our podcast here. Sorry if it's a little rough for first episode, but I really want to get into this whole podcast scene. And, I have a big passion for Penn State football and basketball especially. So we're looking to continue this once a week minimum throughout the whole seasons. And then, in the off season, we'll cover recruiting pretty extensively. But thanks again for listening. I really appreciate it. Hopefully Penn State goes out there, sticks it to Auburn. So thanks again, and we are. Thanks for watching the Nittany No Huddle Podcast from the Nittany No Huddle Studios.